Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I wanted to showcase a cool game that I got on my iPod here. This is a D&D style game. It's called Knights of Pen and Paper. This is actually the second game. It's free, and it's a heck of a lot of fun, especially if you are a D&D player. It replicates the D&D kind of experience really, really well. The presentation is perfect for a D&D type situation. You're in a room like somebody's living room or I guess old apartment. The DM sits on one side and he tells you what's happening in the adventure, and you are a bunch of characters or a bunch of players down at the bottom row, and the background will change depending on what's happening. Let me show you a little bit of the game I've been playing. Here's my party here. We've been going through some dungeons. I'll show you those in a sec. But if I wanted to, say, go to this open forested area, I just select that, and providing I've got enough money, I can travel there. And while on our trip, it'll roll for random encounters. Luckily, we made it. But that's a D&D thing. As you travel, sometimes you run into creatures that you have to fight. And you can see, like, now we've selected, or because we're in this sort of open field area, the surrounding artwork shows where we are, and yet our table with each of our characters is still sitting here and the DM, and I can select different things to do. We can fight, we can continue the adventure, etc. What's really cool is these 5 players are each wearing hats that kind of designates what they are. You start off the mission, or you start off the adventure with just a paladin who's kind of a warrior who can also heal people and has a little bit of magic, and also a cleric, which I used to play that all the time myself, and the cleric is the most important character in my opinion because he does all the healing. Later on we picked up a wizard, he's in the center, and we've also got a hunter and a thief. So that's been sort of our party as we've been traveling around, and that's a good variety. You've got warrior, fighter types, you've got spellcaster types. The thief has been rather handy. Let me give you a very brief idea of what some of the combat is like, because that's really cool. I'll just select, there's some troglodytes in this area. Different creatures appear in different parts of the land. You don't have to fight them. I mean, you can if you so desire, or you could just continue the adventure. But I'll just give you an idea of the combat itself here. Let's add, I don't know, let's do 3 troglodytes. Okay, and then we can battle them. Now, the thief gets to go first. If you've ever played Dungeons & Dragons, you know all about initiative and things like that. He should be able to cast some spells or, use some abilities. Unfortunately, you can make out each of these guys has like a health bar in red, and there's a little one of blue energy below that indicates their ability to do these special tasks, special attacks, or their magic if they're a magic character. Now, the nice thing about the thief is he can attack people in the back row, and if one of his targets has never been hit, the thief does a backstab, which deals a lot of extra damage. Let me just do that. I'll select the back troglodyte here. If I can get him. There we go. Backstab! Tons of damage. The hunter, again, a lot of his abilities are grayed out because we need to rest, but let's just do that. I'll attack him. And the paladin will also attack. Now that gives you a rough idea of how this all works. Oh, we even got some experience points and some gold. Great. But boy, do we need some healing and resting up. So let's travel to a town. Select the DM. We can go over our equipment. We can set up a tent and just rest here out in the wilderness. If we do, there's a chance of a random encounter while we sleep. But if we go to a town, we don't have any random encounter. So let's go to a town. And get the map. Oops, no, we don't want to go there. Let's go to this town over here. I will travel. We made it safely. And now we have the option to lie in our bed. So let's just do that, because my characters need it. You can see there, their hit points are going up and their little spell things. Now everybody's fully rested. We're doing well. While in a town, you also have this option for a safe, which is where you can store extra items. These are great things. You've got weapons, you've got crafting items, you've got bits of armor. So standard sort of inventory thing. Let's go back out into the wilderness and see if we can find something. Let's go back out there. Where's somewhere I can go? Let's go into the deeper forest here. Oh, I found an item. I found a diary. That's cool. Traveling on. Safe travel. Past the bridge. Oh! Random encounter. It's a giant chicken. Okay. So, now you can see the thief has got all of their abilities lit up. I'll just continue with the backstab, though. Take that. The hunter has this really cool ability down here. I mean, if you tap on any of these, you can sort of see that's a hail of arrows, which does such an amount of damage. This one is a prepared arrow, does damage and can do some burning. I always like to use the decoy ability of the hunter so that if he gets struck, it puts a little thing in front of him, and if the giant chicken decides to attack him, it'll bounce back some damage back to him. The priest is okay right now because nobody really needs to be healed up. Do I want to cast a spell? No, I'll just do a little swing with my mace. Okay. Okay, now let's get the magic user to cast a fireball. And if there were other guys around him, they'd also take some damage. Ooh. Yeah, take that. And with one final blow, the paladin will swing. And it's dead. That gives you an idea of sort of the combat, and we get some items here. That's really cool. And yeah, you see the background changed. We're in like a forested area now. There are places you can go. There are towns. There are castles. There are dungeons. There are a lot of really cool environments. But what's sort of neat is the banter of the characters. Like as the DM takes you to different places and you try different things out, he'll describe what you see, where you go. I'll show you some of the dungeon in a second here. But then you also get some kind of funny comments from the players. It's really well done. Let's try going to another location. Yeah, let's go up into desert up here. Let's do a big long trip here. This always costs money, but I've got thousands because I've been playing this for a while. Random encounter. Ooh, what is that? Looks like a nasty beast. Okay, well, I guess we'll start off since the priest has... there's an initiative system, and you can see these little numbers. He goes first, thief goes second, the creature must be going third. That's what that 3 means. And then I've got my hunter going next, this magic user, and the paladin. So I guess we'll just swing at him. Let me give you an idea of what some of the combat's like. Since this guy has now been damaged, the backstab ability of the thief is just going to do normal damage. So instead I'll cast something else. Let's do a hail of arrows. Or sorry, barrage of knives. There we go. Now he's going to swing. Did a bit of damage. I'll activate that decoy for the hunter, because I really like that first. And our spellcaster, instead of a fireball, let's do this one. This is a frostbite. Usually the frostbite stuns the enemy, but he resisted it. See, there's saving throws as well. Anybody who's into D&D, they're going to know this terminology, and this game really does it well. It's a great game. All right, let's lay into him with Guiding Strike. And now the paladin's going to get a bit of a charge going on. Now I guess the priest should probably heal somebody because our hunter's not doing too well. So I'll heal, and when I do that, it also recharges everybody's mana very slightly. So that's pretty cool. And we're back to the hunter. He will thief. What should we do? This is a grappling hook, and what that does is it pulls whoever's at the back row forward, but since we don't have anybody in the back row, there's not much point in casting that. I'll just swing at him with my sword. There we go. Now did you see? He swung at the hunter, and because that decoy was up, the damage actually went back at him, and it did a whole pile of damage to him, and now he's not doing very well. So that's the benefit of that decoy ability. Now I'll just use a prepared arrow at him. And he's dead. Excellent. So let me take you into the dungeons. I was actually doing an adventure. You see how on my map there's a lot of different places to go. To continue the storyline, I want to go where the exclamation mark is. So let me do that here. Travel. Well, since we've encountered a troglodyte and a couple of snakes, let's take care of them real quick. This time I'm going to have my thief use the grappling hook on the back row. Oh, I killed him. Okay, never mind. Might as well do a bit more healing while we're here. Who needs it? I think the thief needs it a bit. There we go. And what I really like using from the magic user is this chain lightning, because it goes across the entire row. There's strategy to each of these spells. It's great. There we go. They're toast. So now we entered the dungeon, and as you can see, the background has changed. The tunnels get notably darker. You really have to watch your step here. I bet the denizens are more dangerous as well. Explore the lower tunnels. So let's do so. We will continue. And as you can see, now I've got this little map here, and it shows where I'm coming from and where I'm going to. Let's go into this big room here. The floor of this room is tiled with black and white stones of various shapes. As you stare, the shapes of the floor, they seem to wave and pulse. You feel a confusion creeping upon you. So it's a trap. We each have to make our savings throw. And most of us made it. So they just took a bit of damage. Carefully, you move further into the room. A treasure! Ooh, great sword. Cool. Carefully, you move further into this room. You enter a room with items on the 4 pedestals. I guess the way the scripting is, it's you have no choice. You have to go through certain things that he has said. So they've got these little blurbs in a way that would make sense for different ways of introducing it to the player. And it does sort of sound like he's repeating himself a few times. I guess in a standard, like choose your own adventure path. Anyway, you enter a room with items on 4 pedestals. There are clear instructions on the wall that you can only choose one. Which do you pick? Oh, let's take the weapon. As soon as you pick up the weapon, the items on the other pedestals disappear. Now we have an axe. Cool. Let's continue through the dungeon. Let's go this way, I guess. The floor of this chamber is covered with sleeping mats and piles of straw. Your discussion about the classification of monsters alerts the guards. Oh no, we have to fight something now. Ooh. Some kind of skeleton guy and some kind of weird slime in the background. All right, let's do a backstab on the slime. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, we're up against something pretty challenging here. Well, I won't do the rest of the adventure or the rest of the combat here, because you get the idea. Knights of Pen and Paper 2, it's really, really cool, and it has a lot of depth to it for a D&D style of game. I like the design of it. It does also play in kind of landscape mode, but I think it actually looks better and feels more intuitive, and it's zoomed in properly, if I play it in this mode here. It's on iOS, obviously, but it does also have an Android version, and I think it's on Steam as well. I really, really like this, and I wanted to kind of spread the word. I'll put a link below to both the iOS and Android versions, and yeah, highly recommend it, especially if you're a D&D player. All right, well, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.